Hello, Akanke.
Hi,
Welcome.
Hi, Ranjani. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to see you, and you're stunning, beautiful, and I love your no the way you dress up, the way you show up on screen. So I'm a fan. You can consider from that perspective, and I'm thankful that you took out time and to have this conversation. And viewers who are listening to me, I'm Ranjani Sanjay. I am a leadership coach from Million Stars Academy. And today I have Akanke with me. And Akanke, tell me from where you are. Tell us about your personal life. How is your professional life, your hobbies, your interests, and tell us something about yourself so that people can know you. I can know you. Share.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, Ranjani. I am really a person who loves self development. I started my journey to being a coach. I know that's one of the things that we're going to talk about, but I started my journey as a coach by discovering my own self, if you will, and discovering my love for life when I was 26 years old. And that was in 1989. And at that time, I was a college dropout. I went 1 year to college and decided it wasn't for me. And then I started working, and I had an event that I was invited to, and from that event, it turned me on to life. So I'm a person, when it comes to hobbies, I love self development. That's what I love to do. I love to read. I love to help others grow. I love to attend events that are about self development, particularly spiritual growth and emotional growth and just holistic growth, really, mind, body, and spirit. That's who I am. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. I currently live in Springfield, Ohio. I've lived overseas. I was in Saudi Arabia for 10 years and Bahrain as well during that time. And I am really just grateful for life. I'm somebody who loves life. And I know that life is full of joys and challenges. So I embrace the challenges as I do the joys, and I learn from them both, because that's what I think God intends for us. And I have a framework and a concept that I'll share with you later, that has helped me to really frame that into something that's meaningful, that has helped me to grow, and I share it with others to help them grow as well in terms of self-actualization.
Awesome, awesome, Akanke. I no, no, I appreciated personal development at a very later point in my life,
Mm,
and for you to start at 26,
mm,
uh, is a no, it's a different like personal development is personal for everyone, and it begins at different point of life, a point of time in your life,
mhm.
and you started early, and that is showing up how you are right now, and no, the amount of work that you have done with yourself and to grow, that's pretty much I can see, it's there in the way you speak and the way you carry yourself, the way you create your content. I can see that. So tell me, Akanke, about the big reason why. So I understand that personal development is something very critical for growth. And you pointed out that it is one of the critical things for growth. And you look forward not just for personal growth, you look forward to helping other people grow. So that also I got it from your conversation. So tell us the big reason why coaching, why you chose this as a career.
There is something very beautiful about serving others, helping others grow, helping others in whatever way you can. And that's what I love to do. So, because self development is a hobby of mine, I love to read books, I love to write, I love to do those things as a means of self development. I also want that for other people. So, coaching is one of the best ways to get people to think about their lives, to get people to align themselves with their divine purpose, to get people to reflect and to answer their own questions, to go within themselves, to understand what their inhibitions are, what their desires are, what their emotions are. Coaching is a way to help people unearth and discover and uncover and realize and have epiphanies to help them grow. For the purpose specifically of helping them to know themselves better so that they can grow, so that they can ascend. So my business is called Ascension. And I call myself the Ascension Coach. And I see the ascension as the journey of life from God back to God, in which we consciously choose. Now, if you're on the path of ascension, you have made a conscious choice to embrace life, his joys and its challenges, in such a way that you see your blessings and your lessons as opportunities for growth. In other words, life is our teacher. Life is always teaching us something through our joys, our challenges, our relationships, our tests, our trials, our careers, our family. Everything is a teacher for us. And when you're on the journey of ascension, you realize that you're going back to God, and everything in the middle from coming to God to going back to God is the test. So the journey of ascension is the test. And I created a framework based upon my what I've learned, my 30 years of trial and error, having great mentors, having many experiences, and spending a lot of money on programs to help myself grow. I've distilled what I've learned into a framework called the Journey of Ascension, in which there are 7 steps within that framework. And I help other people, particularly women. I help women revitalize their love, beauty, confidence, and spirituality. And I use the framework of the Journey of Ascension and the 7 steps. And those 7 steps are awareness, acceptance, assurance, alignment, awakening, alchemy, and ascension itself. And that's another conversation that we can have perhaps at another time. But they all have deep meaning in terms of being able to see how we grow. There's a certain way that we grow, and there's a certain way that we can accelerate our growth. And the framework, my framework, the Journey of Ascension, and those 7 steps, is a framework that helps accelerate the personal growth towards self-actualization. And I chose coaching because I think self-actualization is why we're here. We're here to become our best, to strive hard, to strive, I will say, to strive sincerely to become our best. And so in so doing, when we do that, we continue to to actualize ourselves. And I want to say something that I feel like I always have to say. When I talk about the journey of ascension, a lot of people think it's all about, a growth that goes like this. We're always on an ascent, but that is not true. Life has many twists and turns. The distinction of the journey of ascension, though, is that because you're taking it consciously, when you go down in those valleys, when you have those tests and trials, through your own willingness and your own self-determination, your own self-love and self-compassion, you lean into that, whatever that challenge is, and learn from it so that you can grow higher. So your aggregate, your combination of your growth and your experiences, you're always ascending, even when you go down, even when you have twists and turnarounds, because life is a journey. It's not just from point A to point B, right? There are many points in between, right? So, the framework that I use helps people to have the tools. It gives them the tools they need to navigate that journey. When you have trials and challenges, how do you cultivate resiliency? How do you cultivate assurance and certainty and fortitude, where you have the courage to embrace life, learn from it, and keep going, and keep your esteem and keep your love for God and your love for yourself and your love for God's creation intact. Even though you might get some dings and scratches along the way, but you don't lose your hope and your spirit and your love for life, your love for God, and your understanding that you're having an experience that's meant just for you. It's prescriptive. Everything that happens is a prescription just for Ranjani, just for Akanke, just for Khadijah, just for Fatima, just for whomever it is. God has you on your own journey, and everything is for your growth and development.
This is so powerful and so insightful. I can really relate to the life that we are going through right now. Like we're going through a pandemic, and yes, it's a struggle for many people to know, no, to, and as you rightly said, no, we each one of us have our own journeys, and consciously being on this path of purpose is what you're talking about, like the whole your program, the system that you have created is someone to consciously choose
Yes.
and be on the path of purpose. And yes, there will be ups and downs. And what I have experienced, Akanke, with my journey is like when I took conscious decisions, I could really see the real my real me, and I could really meet the real people out there.
Mm,
So the raw, real, the vulnerable me, and yes, as you said, all those qualities of courage, resilience, hope, faith. We have to pump ourselves up and you go
yes. Yes.
on our ways. And
Absolutely.
I could really see myself in your conversation, that how I am really balancing myself to be on my way. And this is an amazing journey. Like personal development is, when I began my journey, it was new to me, and it is different. Like not everybody's like, oh wow, this is so amazing. It's
Mm,
not received in that fashion. You have to consciously choose that I'm going to work on myself, like
mm-hmm,
I'm going to invest on myself.
mm-hmm,
And people always look at the results, and they come from that perspective, like no investment and returns this way. But it's not that kind of a package. It's a journey, and you really can't explain or transformation. It's an experience that has to be lived and demonstrated.
mm.
So I could see myself in your conversation, like how I chose consciously. And yes, and the other thing that you added was service. You're doing all this for the joy of service, and it's fulfilling
Mm.
as a human being to serve someone with
Yes.
whatever gifts and talents you have.
Yes. And I want to
So,
say, Rajani, that when I discovered self discovery, I was 26 years old. And at that point, no one had ever told me there was a such thing as self development and my thoughts are things, and that I could create my reality, and that my future had a lot to do with my esteem and cultivating that esteem and listening to my thoughts. And I had not been exposed in my school environment, even in my home environment, to I will call it the technology, if you will, and I mean that in a soft way, the technology of self reflection and self development and self actualization. I had never even heard of those words, self development, self actualization. So the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing is because I think everybody should have access to that. And no matter what age you are, and I really think we should start very young to share the message of who am I, the question, the reflection of who am I, so that we can begin to understand the process of individuation, where we have to know ourselves and we have to grow ourselves. And that life is, that's what the journey of life is. It's about knowing and growing, and then interacting with others who are also knowing and growing, and
mhm,
living taking that journey consciously. So I do what I do because I see the value in personal growth, and I see the value and the need, I should say, in exposing more people to that and helping them to accelerate their growth. So again, my framework is a framework that helps to accelerate the growth, because it shares with them the phases of of the journey of self-actualization.
Perfect. So what you and me are talking about right now is like, what I also mentioned in my, in my group also, like formal education will not give you this. And as you said, I was even not exposed. There's something called self-development or self-discovery, and
Right.
now the whole life, the journey is about not just helping others, but for me also. It's a journey, like I'm realizing myself with the challenges and joys that I have right now.
Mhm.
And yes, this should be accessible to everybody. And I also personally believe like everybody should, but it's not that wow thing right now. But yes, consciously or subconsciously, people are getting into now a lot of people are talking about this, considering when we started it was less. But you are some of those leaders who are actually leading the way and showing the pathway for people to really see the growth, personal growth, and a way to love your life and live that fully. And
Yes,
that's amazing. That's amazing.
I'm grateful.
So yeah. And tell me, Akanke, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, want to know what are you doing and where are you, how do we connect with you? What's the access? Whatever the program that you talked about, how we can access you. Tell us about that.
Sure. The best thing is to go to my website, ascension.love, ASCENSION.LOVE. And there is a opt-in um, form there, and they can give me their address, their email address, and I will add them to my mailing list and share with them my thoughts and be a part of. They will be a part of anything that I have to share. Also, my other website is akankerasheed.com. So I have several things that I do, but for now, I will just say they can go to ascension.love.
Awesome. That's lovely. And I want to know from you what is the message that you have for the viewers who are listening to you right now.
The message that I have is to live life consciously in the awareness that we are on a journey from God back to God, or from love back to love, from mercy back to mercy. God has many names. And the purpose of life is that in between, we are mindful of God and let that mindfulness indicate or guide everything that we do. In other words, we are spiritual beings, and everything we do has a spiritual aspect to it. So to live life consciously, so that when we have our turn, when our turn comes to return to God, we will feel good about how we lived because we were mindful in things that we did and how we served and who we became. And so that's my message. You're on a journey in life, the journey of ascension back to God. Live it with remembrance and love and beauty in your heart and share that with others. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't have challenges. You're going to have challenges, but you endure those challenges also with mindfulness of God.
Thank you so much, Akanke, for sharing this insightful thing about your program. And it was lovely talking to you.
My
We'll
pleasure.
catch up again for another series.
Okay.
And I loved speaking to you and knowing about your program.
Thank you so much, Ranjani. It was my pleasure.
Thank you, dear. See you. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.